Mario Andretti prepares to take the raceway. Wow. Are you doing that? What a blast 16-year-old Dennis and I had giving this little hot rod a spin. He's into model making, drawing, hunting, fishing, listening to music, playing baseball and soccer. Now you can add this to his things-to-do list. Do it! Oh! We're looking for a two-parent family for Dennis. Abuse in his past means therapy these days. He's struggling a bit with his 9th grade studies, but he's a hard worker. Told me he'd like to get out of the foster home to free up a spot for somebody else in need. I imagine when you get your new mom and dad, you're going to ask them first thing, buy me one of these cars.
Yeah, they'll probably tell me, no way, it's too expensive, we'll blow the bank.
He probably will.
He deserves the best. Treat him to a solitaire today.
Well, I want to hear about the big game.
It's a lot easier to play Utah when Josh Grant isn't around, isn't it?
Well, they're missing Craig Rydach, too, but you don't get to the Sweet 16 last year in the NCAAs with just two guys figuring. I mean, they've got some other supporting...
The rest of the team.
That's right.
And we're going to see how good the supporting cast is tonight. He's not feeling very well tonight, but I figured an assignment in the pit should perk up our Scott Stigler. Scotty, suck it up, and how's it going?
All right, Paul, starting to feel pretty good because the Lobos are off to a good start against Utah. I think this is a pretty crucial game for the Lobos because you don't want to lose the WAC opener on your home floor. Of course, the Lobos have had troubles in the pit so far this year. Utah, everybody's kind of feeling sorry for them, so maybe it wouldn't be such a bad loss for them tonight. Right now, about halfway through the first half, 13-5 Lobos. Kahari Jackson has 6 points for the Lobos, and he's gotten his hand on a couple of blocked shots. That's indicative of that defense that we've seen the Lobos hold their last 3 opponents under 60 points. If they can do that tonight, they're going to walk out of here with a win.
All right, Scotty, I'll be joining you shortly, and do me a favor, don't faint until I get there.
I'm going to hang on as best I can.
I think he's got the flu or something, folks. Didn't know what to expect at Highland High tonight, what with the bomb scare there last night. No shenanigans that we know of, just good basketball. Highland against Sandia. This game was so rough, one of the players broke a shoestring. It was brand new. Sean Baker was rough on the Matadors. He had 3 trays and went to the bucket pretty well. Baker had 18. Sandia was down 12 in the third, but their 1-3-1 zone trap gave the Hornets all kinds of headaches. Turnovers, missed shots, the works. Watch Brandon Heckroth score on the break. Sandia had the lead. Yeah, they came back. Sorry, bub. Time running out. Sandia by 3 now. Baker's 3-pointer is blocked. So is Jeff Omdahl's. And Sandia gets their revenge. They lost to him earlier. It's Highland's first loss of the season. A new back injury for Larry has the Celtics birdless, at least till next week. So they tried to halt the Cavaliers' hot streak without him tonight. Mark Pierce or Price dishes and gets it back. He is a player for Cleveland. Phil Ford casting his evil eye. Watch this. Brian Shaw to the hole, rejected by Larry Nance. He does the same thing to McHale. McHale says, I'm going to go over the top. McHale had 18. Cleveland, though, wins their 8th in a row. John battled a fadeaway J. By 11, they win. Dowdy at 20. So did Nance. The turquoise circuit of pro rodeo has brought the cry, Ride 'em Cowboy, to Albuquerque this weekend. We got a chance to see a native New Mexican tonight, Randy Slaughter in bareback. He finished in the top 20 world standings at the end of last season. A broken shoulder back in September ruined his shot at the national finals. Says he turned down a scholarship to play baseball at Arizona State.
Come down to make a decision, and I don't know, I just kind of like the rodeo way of life. I was my own coach, and my desire is what got me to where I am.
We will wish him well this weekend. Saturday and Sunday go-round start at 7:30. Channel 4 is a rodeo sponsor. They want me to stop for a minute, but when I come back, the NFL and New Mexico's piece of a national championship.
Did you know that Big Bird is coming to Albuquerque? That's right, he's coming to the Ashbury Jukes. Later with Dave with Steve Gutenberg and the Amazing Kreskin tonight.
The Phoenix Cards did a little house cleaning today. Offensive line coach Tom Lavatt got canned. So did running backs coach Bob Hammond. Former Bengals head coach Sam Weish spent all morning interviewing for the Tampa Bay job. I like this guy.
No offer was made. He's got other people. He's going to talk to Buddy Ryan, I know, early next week. Another good guy. I'm including myself in the good guy group.
He's going to be a stand-up comic already is. And he's third man on the totem pole, but John Elway is a Pro Bowler for a third time. He'll take the place of the ailing Dan Marino. Moon and Kelly will play ahead of him probably. And here's what you'll see this weekend NFL playoff-wise on NBC. Denver and Houston in the second round of the AFC tomorrow. And then come the Sabbath, Kansas City against Buffalo. Both should be pretty good games. Del Norte grad Carlos Etheridge will soon have 2 national championship rings thanks to his role with the Miami Hurricane football team. He's just back from the Orange Bowl, only caught 3 passes this season, 1 for a score. I asked if he'd trade the rings for more playing time at a lesser university.
No, not at all. With the competition in Miami, I get better and better as each year goes along. If I would have stayed here or, went to another school with not that much, prog or, interconference competition, I wouldn't have been pushed. I would have been the same, and I really wouldn't have got out of it what I would have wanted to.
Carlos brought back a Hurricane T-shirt for a kid who lives across the street. That is a classy move, and that youngster was pretty happy. Should mention that he has a brother named Gene who coaches at La Cueva High football. He played for the Lobos.
Talented
Runs in
family.
the
Thanks.
yeah. Next, in a snit with the city.
Over a pet with a snout. We'll be right back.
Mike Shepard didn't only say it in the newspapers, he also didn't flinch for television.
I thought we quit. Again, I don't think there was anybody out there that didn't care. I mean, it was some kind of suffering for all of us, but I don't think we played hard.
Hey, when a team loses by 77 points, certainly more than a handful of players gave up the cause earlier than they should have, they'd be the first to tell you. Or would they?
There were players that we let down. There's players that I let down. I mean, there's no way around it. But I don't feel that we outright quit.
And I wanted to stand up, and scream, hey, man, I didn't quit on you. And, I played my, heart out.
I started playing football when I was 8, finished up when I was 19. I learned the code of the hills over the years. You never criticized a teammate or a coach and vice versa. Mike Shepard aired out his team's dirty laundry over the weekend, and I'm not so sure that was a good thing.
I felt as though it was obvious to everybody, and therefore I better address it. And so that's why I chose to do that. But you're right, if I had it to do over, that was probably something that I would not choose to comment on.
Everybody wants to crucify Fresno coach Jim Sweeney for running up the score Saturday. He did, but the real blame lies with the Lobos for not fielding a legitimate Division I defense able to keep things respectable. UNM President Richard Peck must be feeling the same way. He said this yesterday at a luncheon attended by KOB TV higher-ups. As a fan, I feel embarrassed by a loss that big, and obviously changes are necessary. It's just a question of who, when, and how. This is what UNM President Richard Peck told a luncheon group yesterday. His office notified Channel 4 today that the remarks were not directly referring to head coach Mike Shepard. And this is what he told us 3 weeks ago during an interview for a 3-part series we did documenting the football facility woes.
I can't imagine that simply opening the weight room will reverse the score of any game we've lost, nor will it change our recruiting sufficiently for the next year or even 2 years to make a big impact.
In my opinion, and reading between the lines, it's only a matter of weeks before Mike Shepard is dismissed. How messy will that be? It boils down to this. The university will have to pay Coach his base salary for the 2 remaining years on his contract, $140,000. Add $15,000 sitting in an annuity, tack on interest and coach show dollars, and you're up to $160,000 due in Shepard's hands 20 days after termination. A couple of years ago, the university caught a lot of flack when they fired a winning coach in Gary Colson. But if you look at the football numbers in this situation, it really wouldn't be fiscal suicide. If the Lobos could get 3,333 more paying fans in the stands for each of next year's 6 home games at a low conservative ticket price of $8, they generate $160,000 by December. Keep in mind, last season's average paid attendance close to 10,000. But with the way things stand now, expecting a little over 3,000 new fans joining the bandwagon next year is laughable. But with a new coach, new assistants, and a desperately needed public image facelift, that laughable growth figure could turn into a realistic balance sheet projection.
Peas and cream pie. So come on in or take it out. JB's Bakery.
Well, if you're following that kid McEnroe, you got to wait a couple hours.
It seems like he's been around forever, but he's only 32, right?
But a lot of years, a lot
Just
of
a
games.
youth.
Yeah,
I'm your youth.
He's got a lot of games on those legs of his, and in tennis that can be a problem. He's got a new manager, coach Larry Stefanski, who is the brother or son-in-law of John Brody, played for the Niners.
Sure.
And this guy's got McEnroe playing a different game, a better game. McEnroe up against South African Wayne Ferrara. It doesn't start until 1:30 our time, but in the books tonight at the Aussie Open, Edberg has beaten Lendl, and Jim Courier down to Amos Mansdorf, those two winners in the semis. The marquee game in the college hoop ranks tonight, 16 Michigan against number 4 Indiana, and this thing was rough on the refs. Watch the guy make the call. Yeah, he charged. The home crowd had the Hoosiers jumping out of the gym. Here's your final. They win by 15 by 10, Duke over Boston U. I was anxious for tonight's Highland Valley game, both in the top 10. And how about it? Let's give Valley an A for effort. Watch this play. It was like an invisible hand sat over the rim and wouldn't let the ball go down. I lost count, didn't you? For a Highland, Sean Butler, he got him to fall. He had 19. That doesn't count, but Highland's now 10-2 as they win. He's got more old addresses than a mailman whose route's been changed. Larry Brown cut loose by the San Antonio Spurs. And here was the shot of the month tonight in the NBA. The Suns' Kevin Johnson from like 75 feet. Yes, but the Bulls win the game by 6. Alamogordo High football coach Daryl Bodie announced he's retiring at school year's end. And Eastern's Hounds in need of a new head football guy, too. Don Carthel wants to join his dad farming in Texas, wants more time with the kids, too.
It's the toughest decision I've ever had to make, and it's real hard telling the team and the coaches here. And the program is in good shape. We've got a chance to repeat next year.
He'd been there 7 years, make it just 3 for Desmond Howard at Michigan. The Heisman winner is turning pro, won't play his senior year, says he could go to Canada. Money talks. Personalities spelled the end for Mike Shanahan in Denver. Dan Reeves fired his offensive coordinator today, said the two just couldn't work together anymore. And sportscasters and writers from all over the world have to get along at the Super Bowl. Somebody asked this guy to play-by-play on Bill's touchdown.
クォーターバックジム・ケリーノーハドルオフェンスからアンドリードにタッチダウン Touchdown is a touchdown in Japan.
It's a universal word. The New Mexico Rattlesnakes had us meet their head coach today. So what's our Shane Whitehead do? He asked him point blank, can the Spring Football League...
I'll let you know that when I get to my first paycheck. Really, it's a new league. The World League got underway last year. They had a good TV package, but they spent too much money foolishly. I think this team here knows where it's going financially.
Hey, Bruno played football and basketball at the University of Kentucky. Can you name who he played for? My hint, a couple of sports legends. Answer later. Now this.
KOB TV4's Player of the Week, sponsored by Tombstone Pizza.
Our Player of the Week is already committed to play ball at Washington State, but for now he's tearing up District 4 AAA. Portales High's Nathan Erdman is averaging 25 points, 11 rebounds a game. Why, in 3 games last week, he scored 80 with 40 boards. Wow.
He's one that can lead a high school team, I'll promise you. He really is playing as good right now as he ever has.
No, I just think the team was ready to play, and I think we just got it done.
Portales ranked #1 in the polls released today. Hey, if you see this guy in your travels, steer clear. We don't want him hurt. He's from Poland, now lives in the Duke City, the highest finishing amateur at the Ironman Triathlon in Hawaii back in October. He coaches swimming at Kirtland Air Force Base, says the older the better for triathlons.
Nobody who is very young can be very good. You have to train many years to get shape. You have to be old enough to have strong, hard muscles so you can be good. The best guys are around 30.
He's actually got the best triathlon time of anybody from the Eastern Bloc.
So you want to be the first?
Foreigner.
You want to be the first foreigner to win the Ironman in Hawaii?
Yeah, that's my goal.
Not sure if he likes the Globetrotters, but this person does. Mr. Ryan sent me a postcard. He's now won 2 tickets. Giveaway lasts until next Wednesday.
All right. Thank you, sir.
It's going to be fun.
Have you
Only St. Joseph.
Well, it shows to go ya, as they say. You can't believe those rumors.
Who says that now?
I don't know. Some great philosophers.
Okay.
To go ya
Yeah.
goes to show you.
She's hanging around with a different crowd,
Kind
I
of,
think.
yeah, I'm hanging around with Rick. He wrote that for me.
Bill Walsh would use that kind of a saying.
Sure.
He coached at Stanford back in the 70s. He's going back now. The dean of modern-day pro football coaches is headed back to school. ESPN and the San Francisco Examiner are reporting Bill Walsh has agreed to a 5-year, $350,000 per season deal with Stanford University. Expect a news conference tomorrow. Other big news from the West Coast. The Giants have agreed to move to San Jose no earlier than 1994, definitely by 96.
I can't tell you how thrilled and delighted I am to really feel confident for the first time that the home of the Giants will be satisfied with such a project that's going to appear in San Jose.
There is a catch. Santa Clara County must now build a $155 million stadium in San Jose. The word is Ted Williams had a neck artery operation yesterday. His family has released that information finally. I ask you, what was his lifetime batting average? The answer later. Rick's raising his hand. The NBA now says they'll talk to Magic Johnson's doctor before making a spot for him in their All-Star game. And Bob Kloppenberg takes over from Casey Jones, who's out of work in Seattle. The Sonics are 18-18. With Bird Parrish and Mikhail Herding, you figured Jersey had a shot at beating the Celtics tonight. Kenny Anderson here off the steal. Back off suspension is Derek Coleman. He had a game-high 35. 130-120. New Jersey 10 better than Boston. Dave Bliss made it official today. Andre McGee is off the Lobo squad, and New Mexico entertains San Diego State tomorrow night. Here's our going to see the Lobo ticket winner. College ball tonight, CSU loses by 17 to the Buffs, and by 35 Duke, no problem. Having lost to New Mexico State Monday, the Lady Lobos trying to salvage some state pride tonight against Highlands. Second half, Cowgirls erase a 7-point deficit. Michelle Adams, 2 of her 30 in the game. Morekroff's team couldn't hold them off. UNM hung with them, though. Christy Romero to Heidi Harris. She had 13. All even at 46, 10 minutes to play. That's when Cindy Royball's club jacked it up. Cindy Phillips, the first of 4 consecutive trays. Then off the break, the pass to Pat Stewart. She stops and she hits by 8. It's Highlands. It's their 5th straight win.
Must have been fun coming to Albuquerque and beating the big school.
Yeah, it was. Beating them in the pit. And it was my first time playing, and it made me feel good.
Oh, it's great. It helps us in our standings and stuff, but really it helps boost our confidence up a lot.
UNM with still just 2 wins. I'm not done. Prep hoop, grappling, and the PSFL draft when I come back.
Later tonight.
Mustangs and Eagles all over the place at El Dorado High tonight in overtime. Watch the pass to El Dorado's Dan Fisher, and he is hammered by David Ortero. Hammered big time. They check Fisher out. He was all right. He hits 1 of 2 at the line. The Eagles are up by 1 point now. West Mesa has a chance to win it. Pat Brito to beat the buzzer. Oh, no way. Brito, no hero tonight. In overtime, El Dorado just barely. From the hardwood to the mat. The Bulldogs and Hornets, 125. Highlands' Romeo Alonza pins Robert Ferris there. At 1:30, the Bulldogs' Rick Blee stretches his record to 8-0. Good move here. He had a technical fall. He was up by 15, so they called it on Theo Canty. The Bulldogs are 5-0 in duels this year. And all 60 rounds of the Pro Spring Football League draft are done. Former Lobo Eric Morgan will play for the Albuquerque-based team. He's pumped, expects fan support.
I think if we can get some W's, that's what any city's about. If you can get some W's, you'll get the support.
Here's the guys you'd recognize also selected today: Howard and Walsh, former Lobos, and a couple of Aggies, Thomas and Dat Lee. Eric can expect maybe $30,000-35,000 a year if he makes the club. 85 on the team right now. They'll cut that down to 45 by opening day. Training camp in a couple of weeks in Arizona.
They don't pay like the NFL, do they?
No, but it's a stepping stone.
Yeah, good chance. Thanks. When we come back, all
Some folks will match this face with a humble restaurant cook they know. Others recognize one of America's top cyclists. Tucumcary's John Fry likes to set records and then knock them down. Today he is 4.5 minutes faster than the 1984 national mark he set in the 40K time trial. He set the world record for a 20K time trial 2 years ago and is already 2 minutes better in that jaunt today. Fry has owned the national record in the hour race since '87. 2 months ago, the world benchmark was his as well. Pardon me, but at 32, he's not getting older, he's getting better. Over the years, John has built his reputation on the longer distances, 40 and 20 kilometer. But come the 92 games, he'll be pedaling to a whole new gear. He sees his best shot at making next summer's Olympic team, riding the so-called pursuit. Him against the clock for just 2.5 miles. That's an all-out sprint.
I'll have to be training with more intensity and practice my short effort. My whole life for the next 6 months will be geared around doing this specific event.
I'm amazed there's no chip on his shoulder. I mean, politics, plain and simple, kept him off our '88 U.S. Olympic team.
If I don't make the team, it won't break my heart. There's other things to do. I have other cycling goals and team goals.
He's talking about Team Shackley, one of the very best in the Southwest. By his own account, Fry has pedaled his bikes in over 135 events the past 2 years.
And I'm glad to be back in the winter here for a couple months and, you know, sort of recharge the batteries, if you would.
Is there life after cycling?
People tell me there is, and I see signs of it like yourself. But this is good. I get a lot of motor pace off the truck.